When I would talk with and coach and mentor agents, they go, I don't have time for personal business development. I'm like, do you have 5 minutes a day? The people that are successful are the ones that are consistent lead generation. And then I found that people who are successful in this arena and any have this mindset motivation piece of success thinking, activities, and vision. And they're constantly have a vision. They think about how to do it, and then they do it.
Welcome to Mastering Luxury with Sandra, and today I have a great guest, Karen Briscoe. Karen is out of Fairfax, Virginia, and she's sold over $1 billion in real estate. She's been recognized in many places, including the Wall Street Journal, as one of the top 250 teams nationwide. She's also an author and a podcast owner herself. So welcome, Karen. Thanks so much for being here today.
Well, I was thrilled to be invited to visit with you and your community, and mastering luxury is something that is on our topic list all the time because we pride ourselves on our concierge level service, and so thrilled to be able to contribute to your community today.
Well, thanks so much for being here. And I love, I don't know if you know this, I don't think I told you this, that I actually went to college in Fairfax, Virginia. I live in South Florida now, but I went to college at George Mason University right in your backyard.
Yeah, we're based in McLean, Virginia, which is the zip code in Virginia. And we have been. I've lived in McLean since, over 35 years. So that is where our core is, and that is where the uber luxury is located.
Yeah, when I lived there, I actually had a horse, and I would go to the McLean battlefields and ride my horse there.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's many years ago. Anyways, so let's jump into a little bit about you and your background. How did you get into real estate? Everybody always has a different story, a unique story about how they got here. There's no one path to this crazy business that we're in. So tell me a little bit about your background.
It started in Dallas. After college, I went to work for Trammell Crow Residential, and it was in the land development division, which means we would buy land and subdivide it and sell lots to home builders. Well, the home builders we sold to were the tract home builders, the mega subdivision builders. However, I learned so much. I learned, how to understand markets, how to price, how to negotiate, so much strategy. And then fast forward, moved with my husband and our 2 children to the Northern Virginia area into McLean, and was primarily a stay-at-home mom, or the primary caregiver, primary parent. I'm not sure what they call it these days. But at the time, I was the stay-at-home mom. My husband was in public policy in the D.C. area, traveled extensively around the world. And so I was on point, and I'm thrilled and blessed that I had that opportunity. So I just did some side hustles. I re-entered the workforce in the early 2000s, and I really wanted to get back into the commercial side. So I went to work for Nextel, and it was, again, just an amazing opportunity to learn the hard skills of real estate. But it was also during the tech bust. And so that opportunity would have meant being in disposition mode. And I'd already been in the savings and loan crisis in Texas in the 80s. And I'm like, yeah, this is really hard. I'm going to go. I have my license. An agent actually with Keller Williams asked me if I wanted to join his team. And so as a buyer agent, and I entered residential with really no sales skills. However, heart for people. The deep heart for people, loved that connection, and immediately met with success. I'm not going to say I was Rookie of the Year, but I was doing well. And because I had what I call the soft and hard skills. So the soft skills of the people skills, the connection, the ability to reach out and lead generate, which is key.
That is
because some
key.
people have soft skills and they're too soft. And then the hard skills of market knowledge, negotiation, strategies, and how to build a business. So those combined led to success. And I recognized pretty quickly that, my broker at the time said, well, you've been selling a house a month. You should sell a house a week. And I'm like, who does that? I really immediately went to who does that. And the who did that at that time was Sue Huckaby, and she was with Weichert. And so I knew her from church, and I I asked her if I could join her team as a buyer's agent. So I did for 3 years was a buyer's agent. And she came to me in '06 and asked me to become her partner. At the time, she was number 10 agent in the nation. And really, her primary market was the luxury of McLean and Great Falls. And we talked at the time, luxury at that time was probably the 800,000 plus, although the majority of her business was over 2 million. And then uh, luxury definition for our market areas, probably generally for McLean and Great Falls would be starting at 1.5 to 2 million. So I had a submersive experience into luxury, and that was '06. The market had risen rapidly after the dot-com bust. There was 9/11, the buildup of Homeland Security in the DMV made for a very, very robust market, almost too robust because y'all may remember because it crashed in '08.
Yeah.
And that was the same month that Sue Huckaby died. And so I knew she was ill, but it wasn't like you ever planned for these things. She was only 64, so she was a very young woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was in a crashing market with an uber luxury brand. At the time, the primary focus was print ads, very expensive marketing. I remember there was this one magazine we were on the back cover of, and it was $5,000 a month. And I'm like, I don't even make $5,000 a month. And I went to him, I was like, well, when can I remember having this conversation with a seller I'd just got on an appointment with, and I'd given him all our presentation of everything we were going to do to market the home, and that included that magazine. And when I went to the magazine owner and I said, what would it take for me to cancel my obligation? He said, oh, just tell me. And I'm like, okay, I'm canceling my obligation. I went back to the seller and I said, so we won't be advertising in Elon anymore. And he goes, what's Elon? And that was a real wake-up call to me.
If he didn't even know what it was, why are we spending the money?
And so I learned a lot of, and again, out of the savings loan crisis of Texas, I immediately went really hard and fast on expenses, got us into at least a positive side. And I also recognized very quickly that even though I had some staff, I really, really work better in partnership. And so Lizzie Conroy had been a past client of mine. Generation-wise, Sue was 15 years older than me, and Lizzie's 15 years younger than me. And she came to me after church one day, and again, we both met at church. So we have this, made in heaven partnerships chain. And she said, I'm thinking about getting my real estate license. And I'm like, well, will you come talk with me? And she did. And she joined me and we set about rebuilding the business. And back to Sue Huckaby's days was $100 million a year. That was in the early 2000s, y'all.
Right? Yeah,
$100 million a year
that's
was
a lot harder to do back then.
Yeah. And then now we're consistently in the 150 million and definitely a leader in luxury in our DMV, Northern Virginia marketplace.
I love that. I love that it's like you had a mentor and now you're mentoring somebody else. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, right? It's you are all women that are paying it forward.
Yes. And it's even better than that, I would just say. Because what I see happen to many agents, as they advance in their career, they don't learn the technology. They don't, continuously grow and expand their knowledge. And having Lizzie has just really been fantastic. And so 2 years ago, we made what I call the switch. So she's now at the helm and her name is always in the company, Huckaby Briscoe Conroy. Immediately I did that because I wanted her to have the buy-in. And we continue to get business from Sue Huckaby. I have 2 listings right now on the market that were Huckaby clients. So that name still has a lot of presence in the Northern Virginia area. But I learned just as much, if not more. I have to say that people focus on the win side for the mentee. It's really starting to almost switch places in that way too. And then we have a really wonderful team. We can talk about that. Recently, the last year, I have brought on a colleague who's a millennial.
Okay.
She is my showing partner. She works, a licensed agent, works directly with me and my clients. And it's really fun. We do this whole series called Two Takes One Town because she grew up in McLean.
Okay.
And so we're doing this generational media presence, and it's really been a lot of fun. So the message I'm trying to say is it's not all one way. It is definitely both directions, this mentor-mentee relationship in my experience.
Karen, that's great. And it's so nice that you recognize it and that you appreciate it, because you're right. It should go both ways, and they're bringing new things that maybe you're not aware of. So it's great that you're open to that as well.
Well, sometimes I have to work on my mind, I'm like, okay, brain, it's better this way, and, look for the better. And so it is an opportunity to grow. I'll give you an example, social media. So we have a professional social media company that produces our videos for our listings, and we do content creation and all that, and batch video shoots and the whole thing. And I was leaving it to them, leaving it to the experts, if you will.
Yep.
And then when Elena came on, she goes, well, let's do this whole Two Takes, One Town series. And so she started doing that meeting for us. And I just was like, this isn't moving the needle. Like, I need more impact than that. I kept looking around for somebody else to do it. I'm like, okay, I get to learn this one. And in the beginning, it was hard.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to use edits and add music and, all and look what good content is and get ideas. And so now, though, I just love it. It's just such a wonderful opportunity to connect with my community on a whole new level.
Yeah.
Reach new people. But the inspiration of the content is it's creative. And I find that to be energizing too. So I want to just share that it is work to learn it. But when you get into that flow, for whatever it is you're growing in, you're growing in the areas. For me, then I start to really experience the benefits of it.
Right. So you seem like you really enjoy what you do. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say part of that is because you're continuing to learn. Like, you're not stagnant. You're not just stuck in your old ways. You're willing to try new things, even though they're scary, even though it is hard to do. You pushed past that, and then you saw the value in it. And it was exciting and fun because you learned something new, you accomplished something new. Even at this, 30 years into your real estate career, you're still learning new things and trying new things.
Yes, I do. And some of that has been the journey, if you will, the personal growth journey, because you talked about my books and podcasts. And my first book I wrote was in 2016. So that's been 10 years now. Wow.
Time's flying.
Yeah, I would go to these masterminds and, people were expanding their businesses into other, market areas. They were expanding teams. They were buying title companies or doing JVs. And I'm like, yeah, that's all great. That's not the spaces I want to be in. And I'm like, well, what spaces do I want to be in? And that's what led me to write the book. I did have a lot of people say that I had some stories and messages that would make for a great book. And then that led to the podcast. So those creative endeavors and coaching, thought that would be the direction that I would go in. And I do it and I enjoy it because it is an opportunity to connect on a whole new level with people. At the same time, though, my greatest thrill continues to be to serve my community and my clients and the agents in my team and my broader company. And because that is where I find I have the opportunity to make the most impact. And so that has, if you will, propelled me forward to saying, okay, well, then I have to stay relevant. And that has been a positive benefit, right? So I've looked at other arenas and opportunities, and this is still my favorite one.
Well, that's great. I mean, to be this far into the career and not burnt out and still excited and energetic, I think that says, that's so incredible to be at that point in your career that you still love it. Talk to me a little bit about the videos that you're doing. How is that impacting your actual business? Are you getting more business out of it? Or is it, like, how does that fold into what you're trying to accomplish?
Well, the funnest part is the people who I don't even know are watching. They reach out. And that's like, maybe you would feel the same way like back in the day of like a postcard campaign or a sign, call or whatever. You go, I don't know who's going to be my next. My husband always says, you never know where your next deal is coming from. So it's that. And it's also, so it's a both and. It's the opportunity to connect with people that are already, in my sphere, know me.
Yep.
like me and trust me. And it's also to reach people the next, you know, in this business, we have to constantly grow and expand because otherwise our clients move away. I mean, many of my clients, my primary market is listings. I'm primarily a listing agent, and many of my clients are at the stage of life where they're many times, quote unquote, right sizing, downsizing,
Yeah.
and leaving the area. So they're
Right.
leaving.
Right.
Now,
Right. And we do the same thing. We're the same way.
yeah.
We're on the listing side, probably 75% of the time. So how do you stay in touch with them?
Oh, I mean, we do stay in touch with them. I'm just saying, though, that to think that you can just stay with the status quo, your business leaves. Like, for example, my investment advisor,
Hmm.
she gets to call me every, quarter, every year and,
Right.
do things, right? Real estate, most of my clients leave.
Yep. Yep.
So, and I do have some buyers and build the pipeline that direction. However, as a listing agent, the majority of my clients leave. They're not staying in the area.
Right.
So I'm just pointing that out because when you have that business model,
Yep.
then you have to always be going out into, the future and who is that future business.
Right.
And so social media does that. We showcase our listings and that we believe, first of all, sellers love it.
Yeah.
Second of all, we believe that we'll reach other people that are either sellers or buyers that are looking for that type of home. And that it's kind of like the sign, right? I mean, it's like the listings become your lead magnet, if you will. And then we do a lot of content creation on the community, and we're really getting more into creative and fun skits. We're kind of doing a play on The Office.
Karen, you're cute. You like literally light up when you talk about it. It's so cute.
Oh, it is.
You're
It's
like
a
a
lot of
little
fun.
kid. You're like
Mm.
all excited again.
It is. And so I'm not sure what it is in the mix. So Ryan Serhant, the team moved to Serhant in
Hmm.
summer 2025. Ryan Serhant is media.
Okay.
And that is the focus of the company, right? Owning Manhattan. And what he would say, or what he says, and I've heard other people say as well, is that it's real estate and.
Hmm. Hmm.
So to make that connection for people. And so my and is my connection to McLean and community. My and is my service to the community. I'm very involved in the community. And my and is my family and the travels and things that I do with them. I really get more hits on going out to the horse barn with my daughter and playing golf with my husband and my time with my granddaughter. But that being said, it makes for the real estate and to be, I guess, more real, right?
Yes, I think that people want to know you as a person, not just you as a realtor. I think in order for people to give us their biggest asset or one of their biggest assets, they want to know who we are. They want to know what we stand for. And, are we posting crazy things on social media? Are we, being being discreet on social media? All that stuff I think plays a part in who people choose, especially in the luxury arena.
Yes, and we are mindful of that. I get in some of these skits. I'm like, okay, are we going over the edge a little bit? They're like, well, it gets a lot of TikTok views, and I'm like, really? My market's not on TikTok, but then again, the future generations
Right.
after are, and so to build a business that sustains, you have to go into other, markets, and so not geographically
Yeah. Yep.
necessarily, but in other arenas that will attract different for
Yep.
clientele. So,
Yeah, we have to continue to evolve and move with the times. And,
yeah.
it's funny, you say that about TikTok, but my husband is addicted to TikTok and he's older than me and he is obsessed with it. So trust me, probably some of the people you think are not on there actually are, and they are seeing you and probably loving it.
Yes, and the comments are fun. It gives you another opportunity to connect, and it helps them because what a lot of media is saying is that the olden days, the way people used to select an agent is now much more media focused, and they're going to look there first to see, because if you think about it, if you're a seller particularly, you want to know how they're going to market your home,
Yep,
right? So when
absolutely.
they can see the level of quality production you do, then that will set the stage, before you even arrive at the appointment.
Absolutely. I always tell my agents because we do some rentals as well as sales. I don't know if you do rentals, but
Yeah,
you
we
know,
do. We take care of our clients is what
yeah,
we do.
we have to for the clients that have investment properties or what have you. And sometimes they're like, "Well, do I have to do professional photos for that? Because I'm not going to make much money on it." And I say, that is all. Everything we do is an impression on the sellers that are looking at us. So if a $3 million seller sees your iPhone photos, they're not going to hire us. So yes, we have to do the professional photos for everything.
Yes, and I would say when you're, mastering luxury, and up leveling your business, if that's an arena that you want to get into. If you're in some of this, your audience may already be familiar with, but when you're mastering your next level, you have to go there,
Yep.
right? I mean, you have to experience what level of service and presentation that they're accustomed to.
Absolutely. So you have had some really great sales. I checked out your Zillow, some of the sales and what you have currently listed. I mean, you have a $10 million one now. You had a 12 million that sold, and a 7 million. Tell me, what do you do special for those, for something that big, that size? Are you doing anything different, like with marketing, brokers opens, open houses, anything special?
Well, when we get into that, Uber level, I would say, I don't know, over 4 million maybe, but we do it also for the 4 million. We will have a, um, a launch party, if you will. For the $10 million one, it was all with a theme, pole positioning, like with, the NASCAR races. And we had some specialty cars and
Fun.
obviously we had music and, photography and, a sushi bar and, brought in agents from the metro region, the DMV. We're in DC, and Northern Virginia, although the majority of our business is in Northern Virginia and in McLean. And so it was a grand night, and that gave us a lot of opportunity. In addition to the pre-marketing of the event, it gave us a lot of opportunity. Obviously we had our videographer there and photographer there. We were able to capture a lot of content to then push out. And then many of the agents push out content. So when we launch, we're in launch phase. We're definitely doing that. When homes, looking for that discerning buyer.
Mhm.
There sometimes it takes longer, so
Right.
sometimes we have to do additional things. We're dependent on the client and the situation on whether to host open houses for the public. If it's a builder and it's a new build, often they want to showcase their home because it's kind of like, in a way, showing a model home of what they can do.
Right.
And maybe a buyer will say, "Oh, I love your construction, but I want to, build in this area." And so we can use open houses for that. We just want to be very discerning on what our client is looking for. And I think that it attracts,
Yeah.
right? So like attracts alike. So when you get into that arena, then you're more likely to get builder clientele that are operating in that level.
Yep.
You're also likely to meet more customers and people come out. Listings are still out. Business is multiplied, if you will. I mean, you list last and it
Right.
works the same in the upper level. There's some, you know, understanding that they want to know that you've done it
Right.
before. Now, there's rookie smarts too. So
Right.
but we have such longevity in the luxury arena, since 1977 is when Sue Huckaby started. So we have so much almost 50 years of longevity in the luxury space.
Right.
So that that's one of our, I say hooks, or one of our value adds
Yeah.
is we've been in McLean doing this for almost 50 years and still continually innovating, right?
Yeah.
Because the market does. And we want to be ahead of the market, like Wayne Gretzky. We're going to the puck. We're not like back here where everybody else was. We're like, oh, where is it going? And that's one of the benefits of connecting on things like this, like Master Luxury and in,
Yeah.
conferences and working with other luxury agents around the United States and beyond. Because we went to when we were in New York City, we went to a luxury home, and it was a townhome, brownstone, very, very
Yep.
narrow,
Mhm.
priced at I'm going to just say 20 million. And when I came back, I said, Lizzie, this was so beneficial because for me, it raised the lid. It raised the ceiling of what luxury is.
Okay.
And it also made me realize our luxury is really cheap. I mean, when you
Right?
or value add, there's a lot of value to buying real estate in our market area for luxury because, given we're in proximity of the capital, we have world market here,
Mhm.
an economy. And if you look at other locations like Miami and California and New York, I mean, we're great value. So we should be telling everybody they need to be buying luxury real estate in McLean,
You
Virginia.
should. And you know what? The weather is great there. When I lived there, I absolutely loved the weather.
We
I
get all the
love
seasons.
And I love the architecture where you are. Your architecture is so different than ours. Ours, I think, is a little boring compared to what you have. Yours is just, it's got character. And I love visiting again, coming back up there to see everything. And the grass is really green. I just remember the grass being really green. But
Now
yeah,
we do have all the seasons, and I would say Virginia is, the land of colonials because it is kind of the colonial,
yes.
of the states. However, we are have a lot of modern influence coming in,
Hmm.
a lot of California influence from tech because we have a huge tech corridor.
Yep.
So we have a lot to offer all types of what people are looking for
Yeah.
architecturally.
I think it's a nice happy medium from living in the cold up, the East Coast cold weather versus the heat of South Florida and the humidity. I think it's a great balance and I miss it all the time living there, but
Well, come visit.
I
We should
will.
do
I will
a
definitely do that.
in-person mastermind. Yes, let's do
Yeah.
that.
But I think it's smart what you're saying is understanding other markets so that you know how to sell your market to somebody who's considering moving out of the area of where they are. Like for us, we have a lot of people come here from New York and California. So for us to understand what they're selling there helps us figure out what they need here. It also helps us understand like the economics for these people because we know what they're leaving and what they're going to gain by coming here. So I think you're absolutely, I agree with you, very smart to be looking and understanding what's luxury in other places.
Well, and the other benefit is many people at that level own multiple homes,
Absolutely.
right? So it's, in fact, very common.
Yes.
This is like their second, third, fourth home. And so understanding that dynamic when you're in the uber luxury
Yep.
level is key to being able to um, really service the clientele well.
Yeah. And at that point, it's not just about selling a house or a relationship. It's also about being their fiduciary and being able to give them good advice on the whole, like from a global aspect of what does their portfolio look like. So you're even more valuable that way. So, Karen, I wanted to just jump to your book really quick, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Just like hijack the conversation over to your book. So you wrote Real Estate Success in 5 Minutes. And I just love the title of the book. And I want you to share with our listeners just one or two maybe of the best 5 minute things that you can think of from your book. We'll give them a little teaser so that they'll all want to go and buy the book. Or can we listen to it? Is it on Audible or just
Of course. Yes. On
okay,
Audible.
great. Because
Absolutely. Absolutely.
real estate agents, they're too ADHD to read a book, but they'll listen to a book. So give us some tips out of the book and hopefully some of the listeners will just go buy it.
Well, that's the way it came about was 5 minutes a day because when I would talk with and coach and mentor agents, they go, I don't have time for personal business development. I'm like, do you have 5 minutes a day? So it's a daily reader. And so it's set up in 365 days. You can start at the beginning, but there's a lot of benefit to doing it, one a day. So it has 4 key concepts. I'll go real quick. The first one is commit to get leads. So business development, prospecting, lead generation. Until you have a lead in our business, you have nothing to do, right? And the people that are successful are the ones that are consistent lead generation.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have topics on consult to sell. So that is some people call it convert. How do you convert? How do you take that lead through the process so there's business on the other end?
Okay.
Then the next kind of quadrant of topics is connect to build and grow because to sustain in this business, to go, To go to the next level, you have to be able to use leverage and systems, people in order and technology to go to the next level. And then I found that people who are successful in this arena and any have this mindset motivation piece of success thinking, activities, and vision. And they're constantly have a
Mhm.
vision. They think about how to do it
Yep.
and then they do
They
it.
do it. That's one of the big differences, right? The actual
Yeah.
doing.
Yes. And so those are the key topics that are sprinkled throughout because again, back to the ADHD profile and really this works for almost any sales or anybody who's working with customers, clients, that is that you always are, that type of profile is always looking for the next
Yep.
thing. And I'm like, well, this book gives you something new every day. So there you go. You already have your next thing.
That's great. It feeds the ADHD mind and kind of grounds you at the same time because it's a one a day. So you're constantly learning without it being a big task. I love it. Well, I'm definitely going to finish reading it. I started, but I'll finish it. And I'm sure some people here will take a look at that. And tell us, you also have a podcast.
Yeah. So what happened was when my book came out in 2016, they had many people ask me to be a guest on their podcast. And that was really a great way to get the word out about the book. I thought I was going to go on a book tour and that meant traveling. Just like podcasting is fantastic because
Yeah.
I can do this from anywhere and so can other people.
Yep.
And that I like to say my my book asked for a podcast for its first birthday because I was like,
That's great.
on the other side of the mic and interview people. And so some of the conversations I've had have been so powerful on both sides of the mic,
Yeah.
but opportunities to interview people that through the podcast, and you're going to find that as well, has just been really, really meaningful to me.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you are loving your life, loving your career, and you love people. You are just embracing and fulfilling other people's lives as well. So it sounds to me like you are just doing a great job and enjoying everything that you're doing.
Yes, thank you. Well, Hal Elrod with Miracle Morning, I don't know if you know
Yeah,
him, but
of
he's a
course.
mentor of mine.
Okay.
And one of the things he says is to love, it's a both and, to love the life you have as you create and co create the life of your dreams. So you love now what you're doing right now, and you don't wait till later to figure out what you want to do in the future, and you create the
Yeah.
life of your dreams. You do them both at the same time. And I've lived into that, and it really has been helped me keep this level of energy and excitement for my life and my future.
I love that, Karen. I'm going to remember that. This has been great. Thanks so much for being here. And thanks to everybody for listening. And Karen, how can people reach you if they want to reach out to you and send you a referral?
Well, we love referrals. So real estate is, well, actually you could Google Karen Briscoe and I think I'd take up the whole first page. But real estate, the team is HBC, Huckaby Briscoe Conroy Group at Serhant. And again, I believe you could Google me and find me.
Yes,
Now
I
on
found you
the
fast.
yeah, I worked hard at that. The podcast and books. So it's all around the idea of 5-minute success. 5-minute success podcast, 5-minute success, the website. So you can find out more. And they're on all 4 books are on Amazon available and Audible.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Karen. This has been really fun. I've learned a lot and good luck to you for the rest of this year and going forward. And I hope you continue to learn even more new technology and new ways to reach people. People are lucky to have you as their agent. Thank you for joining us for Mastering Luxury with Sandra. Make sure to subscribe and follow us so that you never miss a moment of the inside look at luxury real estate.